How do I start my videos? I don't remember. Anyway, so I'm gonna be playing Gossip. Hello everyone. Everyone from the future. Say hello to the author of Gossip, Touchdown.
Hello.
You know what? I really like the fact that the buildings here are not just boxes, because that's very common.
Yeah, every single building here is unique.
Cool.
There's no copy testing. And yeah, it took a long time.
Question, why is the full grass lower and the partial grass on top of it? Common sense would suggest the other way around with these two textures. 9 out of 10. Okay.
Yeah.
1 point deducted. Common sense. Maybe this is the mystery of hell, or whatever the lore is.
I guess it just looked better to me that way. With the more busy texture on top. But I don't know.
Well, I mean, this is, you know, much more detail than I would ever consider putting. So I can't even. But you see, this line depth here is too bright.
Yeah, you know, this is the bane of my existence. Those cardinal lines. Just today when I started watching people get stream this, I already saw like 2 lines like that in map 3, and I was like, oh no. I've spent so much time looking for those, and I still missed some.
This is detail that I've never seen before.
Some channeling some Linus here.
Yeah, I'm looking for my cigarette butt somewhere.
By the way, those all those like door locks that you can see on those doors that you cannot open, that was actually added fairly late. I had people playing map 3, which is also a city level, and they were complaining that like there's so many doors and they don't know which one's open. So I was like, okay, how can I make it clear that you can't open something? And I came up with this kind of stuff.
This is pretty intuitive. I can say, yeah, this is pretty obvious.
You look at it and you know that, yeah, this is not gonna open.
What is this supposed to be? This metal thing?
A decoration.
Interesting. Anyway, this water is very hot or very electrified. I don't know, but.
Yeah, this is the big topic. Literally everyone complains about this because multiple people who have already either played through all of this or played a bunch of levels have said that, oh, Gossip has no consistency with the damaging floors, and I'm just like, I'm sitting there sad because it's all consistent. Like the brown water is not damaging, and this flashing one is. But apparently, like 99% of people don't even know that there are 2 different versions of this flat. And they always say like, oh yeah, all brown water is either damaging or it's not. And I'm like, no, all of my efforts to make it consistent in vain.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, everyone loves Plutonia, and Plutonia has things much worse than this, so this kind of reminds me of Silent Hill now. No, this is obviously not. Is this the dreaded platforming that you thought people would hate, or is it just?
This is nothing.
Yeah, this is definitely nothing, but
I don't even consider this platforming. Let's just put it this way.
Okay, that is ominous, because I consider, you know, in Doom, this is pretty much the extent of what I expect when it comes to okay, nice, platforming. But if there's something that is on another level, then I'm worried. But, you know, I've never played those platforming levels.
Yeah, just wait for map 6. You're gonna have so much fun.
Okay, this did something halfway. Okay, now I'm gonna have combat, and this is normal water. Okay, so I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm trying not to distract you. That you're trying to survive here.
Huh. You know, this is... I've been playing... Last Doom I've been playing is on the Switch version, and I've been once again trying to finish Double Impact, because I started that some time ago, but then I stopped, and then I never returned to it, and now I started it again. And they really like just every key in every level, plus like level 3, they really love just flooding the whole room so you cannot make a single step anywhere with like every sort of episode 1, not episode 1, Doom 1 enemy.
Yeah.
And that gets really annoying and really obnoxious, and especially because I'm not good at dealing with that like in real time and first without warning, so I have to pretty much trial and error that. But here it felt like it was lenient enough where when those guys appeared I was like, oh, wait, no, stop. But then it was pretty manageable, the pinkies and the Cacodemon there. And you know, it kind of, to your credit, it felt like a Serious Sam fight. You know, early game Serious Sam fight, because there was like timing of spawns and all that stuff. It's probably common in Doom as well, but I don't play enough levels where that will be encountered in Doom. So that, to me, that is a Serious Sam thing. Okay, I got I got rockets. I just keep missing the 5 key, and now it's too late. Oh well. Someday I will learn.
Yeah, I was going to say that I was kind of worried because, especially the later levels, they pretty much have only been tested by me, because only one person during playtesting has played like maps 6, 7, and 8, and I was worried about them. But I've been watching that stream from Vile yesterday, and you know, he's like an elite player, but he was able to survive a lot of those fights that I thought were pretty much like borderline impossible on the first attempt. So that made me feel a bit better that, yeah, if you're good, you can probably survive a lot of it on the first attempt, like, without prior knowledge.
Well, that means that I will probably last until level 2, and then I will start saving and loading, you know, repeatedly in every fight, because I'm not very good. But we'll see, maybe I will luck out. This definitely was not like a by any means a difficult fight, but to me it was like, okay, nice refreshing fight for the first level, where I was like, oh, I remember now that this game at some point it will start testing me. No, what the? Did you just quietly just walk in here while I wasn't looking?
I think it was a normal teleport. Because you would be able to notice it otherwise. Also, check out my awesome flashlight on the floor.
Oh yeah, square. Nice, cool.
It was actually quite a lot of work to make it look like, at least try to make it look accurate, so that it doesn't light up the ceiling and stuff, but it lights up the walls.
Yeah,
it may not be like 100% because it's Doom, but it's as accurate as I could have made it.
Man, you know, when I try mapping in vanilla, I really miss the light transfer effects. I don't think I can live without them.
I can't imagine not having light transfers. That is just unfathomable to me.
It feels bad to be so dependent on this, but man, I'm not willing to map without the light transfers anymore.
That kind of, well, how do you say it? Well, it caused me a bit of grief because of that issue with the dark actors, dark sprites, which I'm gonna fix, but yeah, I had to add like pitch black textures for that.
Yeah, I think that I saw that post with, I guess there was like screenshots about it, and I think there was like some items on the pillar or something like that, and
well, basically, every port works differently for light transfers. Like Boom, so DSDA with comp level 9, it works like you would expect, so that light transfers are just a visual thing. They don't, as far as I know, they don't really affect anything. But in, let's say in GZ Doom, if you transfer the brightness onto the floor, then the sprites are gonna have the brightness of the floor. So if the floor is if the sector is like 144, but you transfer zero brightness onto the floor, then the sprites are gonna be black. And in MBF, so Eternity and DSDA default, it just like averages or something all the values, and just I don't know how it works, but point is that if you transfer brightness of 0, then it looks wrong in anything but Boom.
Interesting. You know, to me it makes sense to light the sprites with the floor, but I guess if you're making like Void or something where it's black but not actually dark, that would be annoying. I can see that.
Oh yeah, I was going to say about the encounters, what you mentioned before about flooding the room. I think I mentioned it to you at some point, that a lot of my fights, like initially, were like this, that the fight starts and it just floods the entire room. And even I started finding this annoying, so I tried to find ways of, like, picking my enemies a bit more carefully instead of just flooding the entire area and making it a fight for space. I was actually happy to see that quite a lot of people actually like the soundtrack, so it made me feel a bit better about it.
Nice. Nice.
Not in a thread. Like in a thread, people don't really say anything
Ah.
for some reason, but in that stream on Twitch, there were a lot of people in the chat that were saying that they like it, so it's
Nice.
pretty nice. That it's not, it fits, that it's not getting boring when it repeats over and over, which is good because, some levels take like 2-3 hours, so even if the track is like 60 minutes long, it's still gonna loop a lot. So it's difficult to make soundtrack for levels this long.
Oh, hey.
By the way, that secret, everybody finds that secret, and it's usually the only secret that they find in this level. I have to say, I actually enjoyed working with just stock textures, because it kind of forced me to be more creative with what I do. Because if I just had like really cool building textures with windows, I would probably just make boxes everywhere with this texture, call it a day. And here I had to actually try a little bit harder to make something that looks decent.
To me, it kind of looks weird here because I cannot see this texture as anything other than just like sheer rock. So it's kind of weird to see it on the building, but you don't have a lot, especially if you don't import like Doom 1 textures as well.
Yeah.
So there's not a lot you can do if you're sticking to stock. I think I have definitely given up on that.
Yeah, it was quite a challenge to make this like something that looks like a city with stock textures.
Yeah, I can imagine.
That was a daunting task.
There's literally only like 2 textures, and they're both for Windows. This thing, the thin ones, and I guess the gray ones. I don't remember if I've seen those here yet. The thick gray ones also. I mean, those are nothing but Windows. So that's. But don't really have a lot of like distinct.
Yeah, I actually tried like very, very early on. I was like, okay, I don't have any windows, any textures for windows, so maybe I can use some other textures as windows. Like, if they tile enough, they're gonna look like windows. And for a long time, I've been using. Now I don't know which ones. The textures that have this is like silver cables or something. The tech something, the green one. And then there's a brown one with similar cables, something like that. I could probably look up what their names are. And I've been using them like just on a large, tall surface. And if you squint your eyes, you would see like, maybe they kind of look like some cyber windows or whatever. but later on I just came back to this after some time. Came back to this level and I looked at it and I was like, okay, this is stupid. So I just made all the windows those black tiles and just when I started thinking about this, like making something for Doom. Well, I have been messing around with making maps like I think since like '96
Ooh.
because that's when I got the first Doom editor, which sucked. I think it was called EdMap, something something, some numbers. Yeah, so it was like very primitive. I think I've only finished one level that is Lost to Time now. That was years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and other than that, I've just been like trying to make something. Never really started any big projects. So when in like 20, what was it, 14, I started really thinking about like, maybe I should actually make something more substantial. So my original plan was to make like a maybe 6 maps project where it was supposed to be Boom compatible. It was supposed to only use stock textures, and it was supposed to be like very small, like small to medium sized. And the idea was that I would make this project like in a couple of months, get like used to the editor, to all the techniques, practice some level design, and basically it would be like a practice project. And
Mm-hmm.
after that, at the time, I wanted to make a project for GZDoom, which would be slightly longer in terms of number of maps, would be like 7 or 8. And it would have like custom textures, custom enemies, like basically also a Hell on Earth scenario, but like much more advanced. And well, I don't remember exactly the order of things, but I think I gave up on the idea of making anything for GZDoom pretty quickly, mostly because it was just opening the floodgates to like I would just keep adding things, wanting to like add more custom stuff. There's the whole scripting and that's available in GZDoom, so it's like I would basically be making just an entirely new game. So that was just too much. That was too much for for a project like this. And I really wanted to keep the Boom compatibility because at some point I realized now I've been looking at other projects like Dia's Vault 2, which was a big like initial inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at it and I'm like in terms of mechanics, like what you can do, like Boom seems to have just about everything that I want. And then I looked at stuff like Velapax, which is like the maps that reach the limit of what Boom can do. And I look at this and I think to myself, well, these levels are pretty big, so I don't think I'm gonna make bigger levels. So both in terms of line depth limits and mechanics, Boom kind of has everything that I want. So why not just stick to Boom and support more source ports rather than just limit myself to GZDoom? And somewhere along the lines, when I started making the first level that I made was level 4 in the forest, and that already was like, you know, it was not a small level. It was not a small like low effort project, low effort level. So I was already making these kind of like bigger levels anyway. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna like merge those two ideas. So I kept the Boom compatibility and stock textures, but decided it's like, okay, I'm not gonna make this like small project to practice. I'm just gonna immediately make the big one, except that it's not gonna be for GZDoom but for Boom. And that's basically how it all started.
This is kind of just like a grid of streets and buildings. How do you see? Like very close to each other, very narrow. Everything is like tight and like the center of the city. But I always want to see like more spacious areas. Like I always want to see a river for some reason, or big courtyards, or empty spaces and like different. It's not like a dig against the level because cities have places like this as well. But for some reason, I always wish like when I play city level, I always feel like first it would be much more easy to orient in it, find your way around it if it had more like open spaces with unique layouts. not just street and buildings.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure you know there's a second city level here that is more open, right?
Yeah, we'll see. Well, yeah, I'm waiting for that, but
So basically, originally this was supposed to be the only city level,
mhm.
and when I was working on it, oh yeah, uh, when I was working on this, I was like, okay, that's cool, but uh, I think I watched your stream when you played when you were showcasing Linus's levels,
Mm.
and I was like, okay, I got back into Comatose again, and
Ah,
I'm like, I want to have a level like this. But then it's like, so do I make this a bit more open or something? And I decided that it's better to keep this one a bit simpler and just go all out in the next city level so that you know there's a bigger difference between the two. So it's not just like two city levels that are basically the same thing. So, so thanks to that, we have the worst level. Well, it's not really the worst level. People actually like it, but it takes a long time to beat the map 3.
oh boy, hello. Ah,
Oh, that was a good place to hide for a while.
yeah, until it wasn't, as they say.
This blockade with the marble textures. Uh, there was a time when I really wanted to avoid like very gamey things in this WOD. So I tried to make it like more realistic. It's like, oh, it's like the marble things came out from beneath the ground or something. But at the end of the day, I ended up using like bars just blocking your way anyway
Mm.
because it was just too much work. I've spent like 5 hours doing this, and yeah, you haven't seen all of it yet, but it's just it's just easier to put bars behind you and just call it a day.
Yeah, well, it's at least it's not as bad as Painkiller or Doom Eternal.
You can probably very briefly hear the new plasma rifle sound.
Yeah, I was about to actually ask about that because it's been long enough that I wasn't sure. I mean, I remember the old plasma sounds, the original, but I was not 100% certain that the Arachnotron shots had the same sound. But I guess they did, yeah, and yeah,
Yeah, I really wanted a replacement for that, but like I released this on Tuesday, and I started working on the sound on Sunday.
ah,
So it was like very last minute. I was kind of afraid because if I did something that was like pretty trash and people would be hearing it all the time, then it would just make it even worse than the original. So I was a bit hesitant, but I think I made it pretty okay for the amount of time I spent on it.
honestly, it sounds kind of close to like Doom 3.
Yeah, Doom 3 sound was like, to me, that's like the best plasma rifle sound. So I was trying to get at least close to that.
How do you make sounds? I've never made sounds before, so I don't know. Do you just like pick a bunch of stock sounds and like mix them together, or do you like modify them like pitch or
Well,
whatever?
I can tell you how I made this one. I've never made gun sounds before, so it was kind of like just trying something. So this sound, I wonder if I should say it because it's gonna ruin it for you.
Ah,
It was uh, like pulling a lid of a kettle.
ah,
It was like it does like pump sound. I just recorded that, and then all the rest is just chaos. I cut in it, lowering the pitch, adding a lot of effects, and that's what I came up with. I almost gave up on it. Felt like, okay, I'm just gonna leave the stock sound, but I really, really wanted to have a replacement for that awful stock uh, plasma rifle sound.
I appreciate that there's a lot of rocket usage. in the first map. I pity the fool who plays this level without rockets.
Yeah, one of the big things, and this is gonna, well, I think I told you that in our Doom World conversation, so that's not really a spoiler, that I am not really very hasty with giving the double barrel shotgun.
Yeah, yeah.
And that is like, I've seen that is like the thing that people always talk about. It's like, oh, it's yeah, it only took hour and a half to get a double shotgun in this level in Gossip. So yeah, that's but basically all of that was like once you get the SSG, it's basically just your default weapon.
Yeah.
And you know, the stuff like the rocket launcher, plasma rifle, they're just like you only use it when you absolutely have to, because you can always SSG everything. So it kind of ruins the balance for me. So I always try to hold off. Well, arguably, I sometimes maybe should have provided the SSG earlier, but I think it's just cooler when you have to use all the like for higher HP enemies, you just use rockets and plasma, and you know you cannot just SSG everything because that's kind of boring.
This kind of reminds me of the Mancubus introduction in Doom 3. That little zone.
Well, I can tell you what this was. Well, actually I don't know if this was inspired by anything. The general idea behind this place is that it's like you're underneath one of the buildings, and those are like supports, so you see the shape. I have no idea if that makes any sense, but I think I always liked in Portal 2
the big springs, right?
Yeah, when you're ascending and there are those springs. It always felt to me, I know nothing about that kind of stuff, but it always seemed to me like this wouldn't really work in reality, but it's really cool. So
yeah,
I was like, yeah.
You know, that was, I guessed that before you said that. I completely guessed that. Like as soon as you said that you're underneath the building, I'm like, yep, okay, I see. And I was about to ask if it was the big springs in like one of the cubes in Portal 2. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Can we climb out here? Looks like we can. Was this always climb out upable, or did this appear after the fight is over?
It was always here, but there were bars that were blocking you during the fight.
Nice. Okay.
Originally, I had, I think, a piece of the ground just would raise or something like that, but it was kind of unclear and even to me. And so I decided to just magical bars come up from beneath the ground. At least it's clear that it's blocked.
I don't think I have it in me to comb the entire level to look for the two other secrets, but oh hey. I'm not expecting the secrets to be magically both in the same place. That I don't feel like I explored thoroughly, but then again, I think maybe there is not as much to this as I was thinking, so maybe there's nothing really left for me here.
This level is it feels very, very open and very confusing because it's very busy visually, but it actually is pretty simple. Now I can say it because you've gotten to the end, that it's basically pretty much linear. It's just a bunch of corridors, like when you actually think about it.
Yeah, that.
But it feels like it's very, very exploration heavy, and that's like I think it kind of works that it's a simple level like this, but it feels like it's actually very open.
It definitely works because, you know, exploration doesn't necessarily have to be like a lot of meaningful different things that, depending on how, like what order you do or what you find and not find. It's also exploration just when you are marking off all the dead ends while looking for the way to proceed, and then the level is essentially linear.
Okay, so backtrack a little bit to the fork and to the right, and it's on this street.
On the street, or you mean just like in this general area?
In this general area.
Ah, haha. I see the brick. Cool. I was looking at that, so I just didn't.
There we go.
Nice,
That's one.
nice. And I think I'm gonna, you know, in the interest of fairness, I'm gonna load after I find the secret.
Well, uh, I'm not sure if you remember that, but I force pistol starts anyway, so it doesn't matter what you collect.
Right. Yeah, I did.
By the way, surprisingly, nobody has complained about this.
Maybe
Uh,
you know.
But other than that, no one has actually complained about this. Maybe because, like, I'm thinking, this is such a niche map set that if it's being played, it's being played by people who already are like really good at Doom and they pistol start anyway, so they don't even check that, they don't even notice maybe that it forces pistol starting. And casual players would probably not even play this anyway, so
Well, I mean, yeah,
I don't know.
there's definitely a subset of people that see a giant, complicated level and they're like, okay, this is exactly what I don't never want to deal with. But
Yeah.
that's why tags are good in thread names, because they let people, not everyone opens every thread, but some people deep down are looking for suffering, and then they see this and they're like, okay, this is the kind of suffering that's gonna be consensual. So nice.
Also, that's something that I wanted to mention. Well, it's probably obvious when you look at the level, but it is something that I don't think many mappers would do, which is that I would say about like 60% of this level is just background decoration.
Ah,
And this was a lot of work because like you go up to a barricade and you see like an entire city there. Well, not here because here that's where you've been, but like if you go to the left,
left, okay.
yeah. So like you got to this barricade and like everything that is behind this barricade is just decoration, and I had to model all of this. And
Nice.
especially if you go right to the right, that's I want this to be at least visible on the video a bit. Yeah, through that corridor. And yeah, everything behind this wall,
Ah, yeah, this part. I remember.
all of this, it's inaccessible. It's just there to give you the impression that yeah, the city is big. And
Yeah, that was
yeah,
definitely very commendable effort. I'm also wondering why these bars are sector bars. Every other bar has been, or many bars have been texture bars. These are sector bars. What's up with that?
I don't think there was any specific reason for that. I might have just made bars like this for some reason. There are a lot of decisions that I made that are in this project where I don't even know why anymore. Maybe I just wanted it to be like implied that maybe you can go there.
By the way, remember when you were talking about like the earlier version of Windows, and the texture would like, I think it was just like pipes and like green and something. And I realize now I have no idea what texture you're talking about. Is there this texture used anywhere in this level?
Isn't that the texture from Doom, from the first level of Doom 2? In the corridor?
The green metal, the little panels.
Yeah, the like the green metal, and it has like some silver stuff.
Yeah. Okay, now I understand. So there's a variation of that where like one of those panels is missing, and it's like there's like the electronics.
It's the texture set that has those blue triangles.
Yeah, that's that as well. So wait, you use that as Windows?
Yeah,
That is.
I might find some earlier version just to like take a screenshot or something.
Please do, because
To show you how I was experimenting with this, because that was
yeah, that
is
sounds
weird.
That sounds deranged, man. I don't know. Okay, this thing is too round, man. Okay, that's the closing thought. This thing is way too round. Then again, I guess if there's an artillery shot, it would be round.
So a few bonus things that I remembered about map 1. The first one is the name, which is 97% corrupted. This was inspired by a song by Monuments, which is one of my favorite like modern metal bands, and they have a song called 97% Static.
Hmm.
I always found that name kind of funny because like if you imagine like static, like on the radio or on the TV, like 97% is pretty much pure static, but it's 97%. It's not all the way there. I don't know why they chose that particular number, but I thought like, okay, 97% corrupted. It fits the what's going on here in the first map. And then also it's kind of reflected a little bit on the auto map because it's like it shows you a little bit, but not really much because it's all just messed up. Another thing was that at the very beginning, when there's this basement that you descend into, uh, I think I mentioned this in our recording that there are some barrels that you have to shoot, and
Yeah.
that is to alert the monsters. Originally, for a long time, I had a different thing there. I had like the yeah, it's over there nearby. So basically, there were planks in front of that entrance, and the idea was that you had to shoot them to like destroy them, and then you could go into the basement, which was done with like instant move in the floors. That is just you shoot them and they just disappear. But I was kind of worried that this would be a little bit like too confusing because you're not really used to destroying pieces of environment in
Yeah.
Doom, and especially that like how in Sigil it's like the entire first level is like, hey, you can shoot those eyes and stuff happens. So the thing is that if this was a recurrent theme in Gossip that like, oh, you can destroy like planks to get somewhere, like that would make sense. But it was like, oh, there's just one instance that's just like a little curious thing, and I kind of did not want people to like get stuck like 5 minutes, 2 minutes into the first map and immediately get confused by something. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna put barrels instead, and yeah, that's basically. But yeah, for a long time, there were planks. I thought it was cool, but again, it made no sense to keep that. I think barrels just work better because you have to shoot them anyway.
Yeah, barrels are definitely much more natural. Barrels are definitely like the most perfect way you could do this, I think. I cannot think of anything better than just blocking your way with a couple barrels.
Yeah,
Okay, that's it about extra map 1 info, right?
yeah, pretty much.
Nice. So, that's it. See you next time.
Bye bye.